All right. So we are now live in our Hangout. I'm joined by Amy Sugar and James Zimmerman at Rollins College. Amy is the Director of Instructional Design and Technology there at Rollins, and James is the Director of the Christian A. Johnson Institute for Effective Teaching. That's a mouthful.
Well done. Well done.
So thank you guys for joining me.
My pleasure.
What we're going to be doing today is just having some various conversations around ePortfolios. To kick things off, I'll start with you, James. Why don't you kind of fill in the audience in on Rollins College? What kind of demographics are your faculty, your students? How big is your school? Where are you located? That kind of information.
Sure. Rollins College is a small liberal arts college located in the metroplex that is Orlando. We're in Winter Park, Florida. We have two schools for our undergraduate day school population. One is called the Arts and Sciences, and the other one is the College of Professional Studies. That encapsulates probably around 2,000 students, undergraduate day school. We also have a few graduate programs sprinkled throughout that area, and also a graduate business college. We also have what's called our Hamilton Holt School, which is our evening college, which has a very interesting and unique population that differentiates itself from for our day school population. Demography, we're not an institution that is necessarily budget conscious, so we have a large range of students, those who come from affluent backgrounds, others that come here on a full academic scholarship. And so socioeconomic background is one of the challenges that our students face, I think, in our general population in terms of interfacing with one another. But we are on a beautiful campus. Many students are part of athletics on campus, and I'd say a wide range of interests, many interested in social entrepreneurship, many students interested in community engagement. I think about 85 to 90% of our students do some type of study abroad program during their time at Rollins. So does that give you a sense of it?
Yes, it does. I think that's a good overview of Rollins College. Yeah, it is a beautiful campus. I had the opportunity to visit there, and it's nice and warm too, especially during the winter.
We have about 230 faculty total. Our faculty to student ratio, our student to faculty ratio is about 9 or 10 to 1. So it's a small place, many small classes.
So all that being said, kind of framing what your school is like, how do ePortfolios and your use of ePortfolios fit in at Rollins College?
Do you want to start with general
Sure.
education? Yeah.
So one of the biggest implementations recently is that for the first time in about 35 years, Rollins has embarked on a new general education curriculum. And that was implemented in fall 2014 after about 3 years of planning. And the use of ePortfolios was a big part of that planning, frankly, not only for students to use, and they have, all students coming in this fall have had a Foliotech account at their beck and call. But we also have used it in programmatic assessment. So we've used it as a clearinghouse for student artifacts that we have faculty pick random samples from in order to do our programmatic assessment. That's been very successful.
And then we also have several departments that have adopted Foliotech to assess student learning, and then also individual instructors who are using it on a class-by-class basis as well.
So ePortfolio is a word that oftentimes means so many different things. I know that ABLE, the Association for Authentic Evidence-Based Learning right now, is trying to define the term ePortfolio or get a better definition around it. So maybe what you could do is kind of describe for us how you view ePortfolio. We use the word ePortfolio. For your institution, maybe we'll just talk about general ed right now. What does ePortfolio look like from a student perspective, and what does it look like from a faculty perspective?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think from the perspective of an administrator, it's pretty well defined as a place that we can use for assessment. I think faculty probably have a narrower view of what ePortfolios can do than maybe the students do. The faculty, I think, are still struggling with how to incorporate ePortfolio into their pedagogy and their classroom environment. I think students find that space to be a space where they can play, keep things that resonate with them, use it as a creative repository, use it as a place where they can store materials that not only will resonate with maybe former future employers, but also just things, a place, a design space, a place to work, a place where they can show things to their family and show things to their peers and things of that nature. I'm falling back a little bit on work that I did with LaGuardia Community College many years ago, but I think that's the way the students view it. Do Rollins students view it that way? That's a good question. I think we're just starting along that process. Faculty still need to be shown its usefulness, I think, on Rollins campus. I think there are several that are using it for departmental use, but in their classroom, I think they find that a little more challenging until they've seen examples, if that helps.
Amy, maybe you can speak to how it is being used in some of the more specific programs and colleges on the campus outside of the general ed area.
Absolutely. So we have a few departments who are using only the assessment side of Folio Tech. So they have the students uploading the documents, to upload those artifacts to be assessed. The education department is one that's doing that. They started the past year with just having their seniors doing that, and we're excited because they've actually expanded that now. So they're expanding to juniors and sophomores as well, who will be doing this throughout their education program. And then we also have the English department. They are using Folio Tech to assess the freshman comp course. So they're doing that to assess that across the board. Our ENG 140 is the course that it's called. And then we have a few other departments who are using the presentation side of Folio Tech. It actually started with a history senior capstone course. That was the faculty who actually were seeking out an ePortfolio tool to use for this. So history and Spanish are the ones I can think of right now that have their seniors actually build that presentation portfolio. So they can upload these artifacts, they reflect on them, and then they can make the connections with their learning.
I think one of the distinctions that Able is currently making around ePortfolios is that of evidence-based learning. They're actually even promoting the addition of EBL at the end of ePortfolios, so to think of them as evidence-based learning. So James and Amy, I'll pose this question to both of you. How are ePortfolios at Rollins being used to collect and demonstrate that learning that the students go through? So you say it's a repository of artifacts, but beyond that, are the students engaged in re-evaluating themselves, like reflecting on the work that they've done, curating that work over time? Maybe this is new in the process, so maybe in the future you might be introducing some of those concepts. But as far as evidence-based learning, actually students learning from the work that they're putting in that ePortfolio, can you talk about that a little bit?
I can. I'll start, and I'm sure Amy will have better ones than I have. But in this first round of general education assessment, we found that the 6 faculty that were doing the assessments for us came back with a litany of ideas of how ePortfolios could be used just by simply utilizing the framework for the assessment side, and to think about ways. There's an art history professor who was talking about how they do a junior portfolio assessment, which is basically a check-in, before they go to do their senior project. And ePortfolios fits right into what they're doing already, but could codify it it would be useful both for the students and the faculty, because it can all be in one place. The students can put together that junior portfolio, have that feedback from the professors, and then do their self-reflection and their senior work all in that same space. Which to them, this would not only solve kind of assessment problems and kind of the packaging problem, but also serves exactly what you're talking about in terms of evidence-based practice.
Yeah, but just to add to that, like you said, I think it's so important to have students reflecting on their work and their growth through their career at Rollins. So that's what we're excited to see, is that, you know, initially it started with these senior capstone courses, but now it's expanding so that they're going to be uploading these artifacts and reflecting on these projects throughout their career here. So communication department's another one that's interested in implementing this. So they'll have them as freshmen in certain freshman courses upload things, and then by their senior year they're building that portfolio and reflecting on their growth.
And there's actually another piece of the puzzle. Our QEP from our latest SACS reaccreditation is to talk about career and life planning for students. Now the alignment there is clear. But we've codified it in a way that students will be using portfolios as their reflective component through the QEP. So that was intentional and wouldn't have been if we hadn't been playing around with ePortfolios for the past 3 years since the faculty used an internal grant to kick this off in the history department.
So what are you doing to promote ePortfolio use for the faculty and help them better understand what ePortfolio is, how it can be used inside of the classroom, and the benefits for them as professors, and you know, teaching the professors the benefits the students have from doing ePortfolio?
So one of the things that we've done that's very successful is whenever we have a faculty member, James mentioned we have a grant program. So we have a technology grant. The faculty member who's awarded the grant gets a team to work with. James and someone from my department are on this team. But one of the results of this is once it's implemented and they have, you know, information to share with colleagues, we have professor-to-professor lunch series. And so we've actually had a few of these on Folio Tech. So I think last year was one with one of the Spanish professors who gave a lunch talk on this. A lot of faculty come, they want to hear what their colleagues are doing. And then like James said, they get great ideas. They hear something, oh, I would love to do this, or my program's interested. We've been wanting to do something like this. So we really try to have faculty share their positive experiences with others. And then my department offers afternoon workshops as well. So especially since we have this QEP with career and life planning, we've not only had workshops that we offer for the gen ed faculty showing this is how students will submit and how they'll be assessed, but we also, you know, show them the other features available in Folio Tech and get them to start thinking about how they can start using this with their students.
Yeah, so Amy and I have been incredibly busy integrating Folio Tech into almost every touch that we have with faculty. So folks that wanted to teach in the new gen ed had to go through a training program. Folio Tech was part of that training program. We have a course redesign initiative every May. Folio Tech is mentioned in that as one of the tech tools that could be incredibly useful for faculty. New faculty orientation, Folio Tech and ePortfolios is mentioned. We have a first-year seminar program called RCC, Rollins College Conference courses, that all first semester freshmen at Rollins take. ePortfolio is introduced to them in that particular class and in most cases utilized for the first time in that class. So we've got, I think, enough groundswell that faculty, now that doesn't reach all faculty, but it reaches the 45 faculty that are teaching in RCC. It touches the 100 faculty that are teaching in our general education program. So very quickly we're going to be building up a critical mass that at least know about it, and if not, are interested in using it.
So that's great. Sounds like you have a lot of touch points, a lot of good avenues for communication there, and touching your faculty members and your students as well. What do you think some of the biggest challenges have been so far in getting ePortfolio adoption across your campus from a faculty perspective? Let's talk about that first.
I think the time investment, I think that's a little intimidating at first, right? To think about, taking the time to think through, to plan this, to really decide what is it that we want to assess, how do we want to assess this, the process. So one of the great things, just a compliment to Politech, is that the support has been wonderful. We work with Shauna, and for her to help us think through that, just the logistical process. How do we set this up? How do we how many evaluators will we have? We've had some really unique requests. I don't think we have one department or group that's using FolioTech this. So that's very helpful, But I think it's just the challenge, the time, and then thinking through start to finish, the student experience, the faculty experience, and then that evaluation process.
And I think one of the challenges, to faculty adoption on our campus is that the ethos of a small liberal arts college is the ethos of FaceTime, one-on-one interaction with your content knowledge expert, with your professor, in a space where discussion happens. And so part of what I think FolioTech is used to achieve on other campuses happens in the classroom environment here at Rollins. So there are some faculty that would challenge the need for something like this in their pedagogy and in their environments. I think that's a small percentage. I mean, what you'll see on our campus is that once this starts to permeate RCC, once it starts to permeate through the professor to professors, that's when faculty adoption will start to really skyrocket.
Yeah, I think earlier you mentioned that once a professor had an opportunity to perform some assessments, actually use the tool, it started to click, where they had some ideas. Oh, hey, we could do this with our ePortfolio.
Yeah.
And I think the exposure time that you're allowing faculty to see, it doesn't happen overnight. This is a process. Right. Yeah. And it's continually getting the same information in front of your constituents to help them understand this is a powerful thing that you could incorporate, and here are ways you could incorporate it. And when they see those samples, it changes their mindset.
It was interesting. I was having a discussion. I was invited up to the University of Michigan just recently, and I was talking about institutional context with them in terms of teaching and learning and adoption of teaching and learning activities. And it's so critical to know the institutional context and how ideas viralize on your campus. And at Rollins, I think my take on it is that ideas viralize when faculty give compelling evidence that use of whatever in their classroom has had a positive effect on student learning. Yeah. It's not, they don't want to listen to me, they don't want to listen to Amy. I mean, they listen to Amy more than they listen to me, but they want to hear from other faculty that this has been useful, which is very different than some other campuses where I've worked or I've talked. So I think that's how it'll viralize on our campus. But for those campuses out there that are thinking about it, it really comes down to your own institutional context to know how that idea can viralize.
That was a great insight there, James. Appreciate that. So we've been meeting for about 18-20 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and end our session. We like to keep these fairly short so that people watching the video later on don't get extremely bored listening to some talking heads for 30, 45, 60 minutes. So James and Amy, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us in this Hangout.
Thank you.
Jeff, it's our pleasure. Thank you.
Look forward to talking to you guys in the future and maybe making a visit down to your campus when it's really cold where I am.
We'll see you in January or February.
Yes.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye-bye.